So I had reviewed Spider-Man 1. And by the time this video comes out, I have already reviewed Spider-Man 2. So it's only right that I review Spider-Man 3. Now, admittedly, I am making this video on all the way in January because the 31st of January is when the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy gets off of Netflix. I know I have the first movie. I don't have the third movie. So I wanted to watch the trilogy in back to back to back. Oh my god, it was like one of the best decisions ever. And I'm happy that Netflix kind of pushed me to do it with it like getting taking the trilogy off by January 31st. Cuz Tobey Maguire is part of my childhood. He was the first his first of Spider-Man was the first Spider-Man movie that I've watched that I got invested in. Like, took me, like, that really made me love Spider-Man. If that makes sense. And I gotta say, I love the title sequence of this movie. Because not only does it have the, typical Spider-Man, like, theme song with, like, the villains of the movie, in this case being Venom and, Sandman's themes. But also, what this movie does, what the second movie didn't do for the first one, it gives you a brief recap of what happened in the first two movies. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. Like, the theme song of each Spider-Man movie is a character in itself, and it's a journey, and I love it. It kind of feels like I'm going to watch a TV show in a movie, if that makes sense. So I love how, like, we get this superhero theme before, like, getting straight into the movie. Get straight into the movie, and we see that, life is going good for Peter. People love Spider-Man. He's doing well in his class. And, things with him and Mary Jane are going good. He's even thinking of, like, you can see he is contemplating whether or not to propose to Mary Jane. It was, which we'll get to in a bit, but he's thinking about it. So pretty much life is going good, and excuse me. Mary Jane is on Broadway. She's like we saw her be on Broadway in Spider-Man 2, but we're finally able to hear her sing, because I don't think we really ever heard her sing in the second movie, ever. We did. So it's nice to hear Kristen Dunst actually sing, because she has a lovely voice. And after the play is done, Peter walks out with the crowd. He sees Harry. Now, at this point, if you guys haven't seen my last review, which is for the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, which would be Spider-Man 2, Harry found out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man because Doc Ock pretty much knocked Spider-Man out, took him to the Osborn mansion, and Harry Osborn unmasked Spider-Man being his best friend. And if you guys remember from the first movie, Harry Osborn swore vengeance on Spider-Man. Now at the time, knowing that it was his best friend was Spider-Man, in this movie he knows his best friend is Spider-Man, so we can really feel the tension. If we didn't feel the tension in the second movie, we really feel the tension of Harry and Peter. And Peter goes back inside, congratulates Mary Jane, and then we see Flint Marko. He goes back to his family. like his house. We see that his daughter is sick and she's dying, and he's just he is a criminal to essentially steal money to for his daughter's treatments to help his daughter live. And now of all of the villains in Spider-Man, in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Venom, and Sandman, or Flint Marko at this point, soon to be Sandman. Flint Marko is the least evil villain. I feel like, because he's doing all these nasty stuff for the love of his daughter. Now, I don't approve of him doing that. Of course, like there are better ways of helping, like with his situation with his daughter. But yeah, he's stealing money for his for his daughter. Some might say that Harry Osborn in this movie is a villain, but I don't really count him as one. I really don't. Like, more like an anti-hero, because he does stuff that would consider to be as a villain. But he does get redeemed towards the end of the movie, I feel like. So even though he's maybe a bad guy of the family, of the movie, he's not the bad guy. The bad guy, it's more like, if you want to say Sandman and Venom, which I'll also get to Venom later. So, Peter goes to Aunt May's house, right? And, after Mary Jane's play, Peter and Mary Jane are on this web that Peter made. They see meteorites falling down, have this epic makeout moment with each other. A meteorite lands near them. Is this the symbiote? It's a symbiote that it will be very important later on in the movie, because it does affect two characters more so lives. So Peter and Mary Jane goes on Peter's bike, goes off the symbiote, latches onto Peter's bike, and they ride off. Peter goes to Aunt May's house and says, "I'm going to propose to Mary Jane." We get a story of how Uncle Ben and Aunt May got engaged, and how at first May said no. They took their time, but they were looking forward to it. Then May gave Peter the ring that Uncle Ben gave her. And then we get this like fight between Harry and Peter, which causes Harry to have amnesia a bit, short-term amnesia, because he doesn't remember anything that recently happened to him. I don't know how long Spider-Man 2 and 3 are apart from each other in terms of in-universe timeline. Because I believe Spider-Man 1 came out in 2002. Spider-Man 3 came out in 2007. And I forget when Spider-Man 2 came out. Or Spider-Man 3 came out in 2007. Spider-Man 1 came out in 2002. I want to say Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 2 came out in 2002, I believe, right? I mean 2004, 2006. No. Can't be 2006 or 2004 or 5. Okay, it was June 30th, 2004. That's when Spider-Man 2 came out. I also looked it up on Google and see how much time has passed from Spider-Man 2 and 3, because I generally want to know. And this says, set a year after the events of Spider-Man 2. So Spider-Man 3 was a year after Spider-Man 2. And then Spider-Man 2 was 2 years after Spider-Man 1. Which I memory serves me right, I did also mention the time gap between Spider-Man 1 and 2 in my Spider-Man review. So that means the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man took about, what, 3-ish years? 4 years? In general, from like, since like Peter's battle with the Green Goblin to Peter's battle with Sandman and Venom. So that is interesting. So, anyways, sorry, I had to. I'm that nerd. So so pretty much Peter and Harry are now friends. They hang out at the Osborn Mansion, talk about Norman, and Peter tries to I feel like Peter trying to hide the truth about how his father turned evil, and trying to like not trigger anything that will make Harry Osborn turn it back into the new Goblin. Because in this movie, Harry Osborn isn't the Green Goblin. He's not the Hobgoblin. They made a new Goblin, which for this movie called the New Goblin. At the time when this movie came out, I thought the name New Goblin was so cool. Now that I'm like a few years of being in my 30s, I like they could have came up with a better name than New Goblin. To be honest, that's just me. Or just called Harry the Goblin. Have Green Goblin and the Goblin. Anyways, and we see that life for Mary Jane isn't going too well because she got let go from her Broadway job because critics didn't exactly like her performance that was towards the beginning. And so essentially she ends up going to Harry. But before that, she tries to go to Peter for comfort. And we see Peter and Mary Jane's relationship go rocky a bit in this movie. And like there was like even this part of the movie. Actually, no, I'll save that. Well, actually, yeah, This is part of the movie after like Spider-Man gets the key to the city. He gets kissed by Gwen Stacy, and Mary Jane is like fed up with Peter because she said, "Who was really kissing that girl? You or Peter Parker?" And then she leaves. The setting, which was the part where Peter was proposing to Mary Jane. Going back a little bit, because we see Flint Marko going to this testing chamber area, running from the police, and that's how he got his powers, his sand powers, and that's how he became Sandman because he came into the scientific testing route. A sand went to his fingers, and the particles made his particles more sandy, right? Which then later on we see like Flint Marko, because he disappears in this vacuum because the mechanical thing makes a vortex around him, and he just disappears in the vortex. And Flint Marko disappears, and not too long after we see him being like built back up, and someone mastering his sand abilities. And so then going back to the celebration after Gwen Stacy kisses Peter, because when Mary Jane tried to go to Peter, that was right before when Spider-Man rushed off to save Gwen Stacy from getting killed by this crane, which was a freak accident, right? So going back, Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, like people at the celebration sees like this big cloud, sand cloud in the sky moving. Spider-Man goes after it. We get our first encounter with Spider-Man and Sandman, which, of course, Peter Parker loses at first. And we also get Eddie Brock at the Daily Bugle, and how Eddie Brock and Peter Parker are in this competition to get the best picture of Spider-Man so they can get the stab job. So, Mary Jane, the reason why Mary Jane was mad because, like, Peter allowed Gwen to kiss him at the Spider-Man ceremony, so she storms off. And shortly after, when Peter tries to call Mary Jane, the police asks him to go to the station, telling him and Aunt May that the guy that we saw in the first movie, that for 2 movies now, we were under the impression that that guy killed Uncle Ben. He was just an accomplice. The real guy who killed Uncle Ben was Flint Marko, who is now Sandman. And Peter loses his shit. And the symbiote that I mentioned earlier takes over him, and now he's in the black suit. And essentially, Peter and Spider-Man and Sandman gets into round 2, and Peter wins that battle. It appears that Sandman is dead, but later on in the movie, we realize that he's not dead. It just took him a while to like form, because how Peter one was like releasing this like water valve and let the water hit Flint Marko. Well, so you guys know, sand gets really soft when it gets into water, and so gets in contact with water. Peter tells Aunt May, Flint Marko died, and didn't he deserve it? And Aunt May says, revenge like a poison. And I feel like that was kind of like a little setup to later on. Because Mary Jane goes to Harry Osborn. They kiss. Which, well, I'll save that. So then she escapes. She goes out the Osborn mansion. And that's when Harry Osborn remembers everything that happened. So essentially, Harry Osborn breaks into Mary Jane's house, tells her, if you want Peter to live, you do what I ask. And then Mary Jane breaks up with him, which I feel so bad for Peter, because from his perspective, it seems like Mary Jane cannot make up her mind. Like, she was dating his bully, made out with him as Spider-Man, still dating the bully, dumped the bully, went out with his friend. Clearly there was chemistry between those two when Mary Jane was dating Harry Osborn. Harry and MJ breaks up. Mary Jane makes out with Peter at Norman Osborn's funeral. Dates J. Jonah Jameson's son, who was an astronaut, was a total dick to Peter for some parts in Spider-Man 2. She's engaged with the astronaut son of JJ. Doesn't show up to the wedding, like the actual ceremony for her to get married. Makes out with Peter, they're dating, only to break up with him again. And she doesn't even tell Peter, yeah, Harry's setting me up to do this. I feel so bad for him, because he's been through a roller coaster with that woman. Throughout these 3 movies, which is why I do not like Mary Jane as as Peter Parker's girlfriend in this iteration, because, oh my lord. Peter's not so innocent in this movie. Once he gets the black suit. So, Harry and Peter fight. Pretty much a battle over MJ. And after this fight, Harry's face is somewhat disfigured because Harry threw a bomb at Peter. And Peter, using his spider powers, threw the bomb back at Harry. So I think it's his right side of his face is somewhat disfigured. His left side is fine. And so then Peter sees that Eddie Brock is trying to trash Spider-Man's reputation. And realizes that the picture that Eddie Brock used was photoshopped and doctored. And Eddie Brock gets fired. And then we get into my favorite scene of the entire movie. I'm not saying Spider-Man 3 is the best movie. I'm not even saying that this next moment I'm going to say is the best part of Spider-Man 3. But god damn, it's one of the most memorable. Because the symbiote made Peter more emo. And we see Peter Parker going down the street, getting a outfit all in black, you know, and dancing. And for some reason, that scene is my favorite. You guys are also watching a guy's video who says the Secret of the Ooze Ninja Turtle movie is his favorite because of seeing the Ninja Turtle dance. It was just apparently where most of the budget went into, was the whole ninja rap sequence. So yeah, that's me. So yeah, we get emo Peter dancing. Then essentially, now Peter and Gwen are dating. They go to this same bar that Mary Jane works at. And as soon as Mary Jane's going to sing, Peter plays the piano, makes a scene. And Mary Jane says, "What's wrong with you?" Peter says, "You." And he gets into a little fight. And he realizes that the black suit is taking over him. Trying to get the black suit off, Eddie Brock's at this, by going to this church. Eddie Brock's there wanting God to kill Peter Parker. Realizes that Peter Parker is also there. Discovering that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are one and the same. And essentially that's how he became Venom, because Peter Parker was successful in taking away off that symbiote, and the symbiote just went to Eddie Brock. And essentially, Aunt May goes to Peter's apartment. Peter tells Aunt May that he hurt MJ and he doesn't think he's the right man for her. And Aunt May leaves the ring on the table, gesture or whatever, saying, "In time you will make things right. You're a good person. I got faith in you." And then Eddie Brock kidnaps MJ because he went to a cab. And Peter finds this out through watching this news article, this newscast, right? And before going to the scene of the battle, Peter asks Harry for help. And Harry pretty much tells Peter to go to hell. So Peter leaves. And Bernard, Harry's butler, essentially, tells Harry that I know you pledged yourself to defend your father's honor, but Peter Parker did not kill your father. It was pretty much a suicide, because it was no doubt that your father's glider killed him, was the one who killed him. He loved you, I love you, I loved your father, your friends loved you. Now grow some balls and get over this anger you have towards Peter. And go help him. I feel like that was Bernard's kind way of putting, like, Bernard was hinting at that. Well, I'll actually be mean. So Peter tries to rescue MJ. Venom and Sandman double teams Peter, and as soon as like Peter, like it looks like Spider-Man was going to die, Harry Osborn comes into the battle and aids Peter or Spider-Man, and the new Goblin and Spider-Man teams up together, and to rescue MJ, which MJ falls, and Peter catches MJ, making sure that MJ is safe, and then going back to battle to aid Harry against Sandman, which then Venom makes like puts pretty much webs Peter's hands together, nearly killing Peter. He would have killed Peter if Harry didn't get away. Which Harry dies at the end. And so Venom, like Spider-Man was able to get Eddie Brock out of the symbiote, throws a goblin bomb at the symbiote. Eddie Brock goes in it, the bomb killing the symbiote and Eddie Brock. And that's when like Peter and Sandman talks. Sandman explained what happened and that he didn't mean any like mean to kill Uncle Ben, and that the only part of him that's left now, him as in of Sandman or his Flint Marco, is his daughter. Peter ends up forgiving Sandman. Peter goes to Harry and Mary Jane. Harry essentially dies in Mary Jane's arms. See the funeral, and Peter, there's this narration that Peter says, "We always have a choice." My friend Harry taught me that. At least, I'm guessing this is like the dinner thing that usually comes with the funerals, where like Mary Jane sings the song, she sees Peter, and they hug, which I never knew if they like got back together at that point exactly, or were just friends. I could imagine they had a lot of things to talk about. And but thanks to like No Way Home, we know that Peter and MJ does end up getting back together. So the movie ends, and we, as far as we as I'm aware, not getting any more Spider-Man movies. Oh, with Tobey Maguire being the lead. Now I could be wrong, cause I know like I did this video back in January that I will link in the description of this video if you guys want to get a read at it, where Tobey Maguire will not will but is open and returning to be Spider-Man. And I'll be open him for Tobey Maguire to have his Spider-Man 4 movie. I think he deserves it. But at the same time, because he's my Spider-Man, and on one hand, I will always be open to a Spider-Man 4 happening, so Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man story can properly end. But at the same time, I am content with his Spider-Man trilogy and his appearance in No Way Home. Because I feel like in No Way Home, they honored Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's story, Spider-Man stories. Like, even though I'll be up for like Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3, I think No Way Home gave me that closure that I need. That I'll be okay with not having a Spider-Man 4 or Amazing Spider-Man 3, but I would be open to it if they want to. Of course, it's a Sony thing at the moment. But, that's just me. And I had been having time to really process the whole Tobey Maguire being open to be Spider-Man in the future. Now, they could do a live action Into the Spider-Verse and have Tobey Maguire be like Peter Parker and having a younger person being Miles Morales. Who knows? Because the anime movie did so good, and I can kind of see Sony doing something like that to please the fans who are Topium fans. But that's just me. That's just my take on Spider-Man 3. It might not be the best Spider-Man movie, but it's my favorite. My purely so just because we saw emo Peter dancing, nothing else. Nothing else. But what do you beautiful people think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Excuse me. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. I will talk to you, Philip Mutuals, later. Later, taters, and may the force be with you. Even though this is not a Star Wars video, but I'm rolling with it anyways. Later.